The next thing I want to come on to is style and pace. So we're preparing ourselves for a well-controlled conversation, which results in a win-win for both people involved, maybe the people listening as well. So let's talk about style and pace. First of all, you have to think about what's the purpose of the conversation that you're having. Is it just a casual conversation with a friend? Is it a business conversation where you may be the boss or you may be the underling, for want of a better word? Is it a conversation where you're trying to reach collaboration with someone? Are you trying, as in this case, perhaps to share knowledge, maybe even teach them something, as in the dialogues that I keep referring to? So try to start thinking about what style you adopt when you're in a conversation. And it's similar to active listening in a way, but it's controlling the other person's perception of you. Your style is basically, it's like having a part in a play. It's what is your part in that conversation? Are you playing the lead role? Are you the hero? Are you the comedy sidekick? There's all sorts of parts that people have in plays. Some people adopt a particular part in a conversation because that's the way they have scripted themselves through life. Consciousness of interpersonal dynamics, so that your behavior is no longer just automatically driven by a script that you wrote for yourself down into your subconscious, or we could say up into your subconscious, how quickly you respond to something or how slowly you respond to something in the conversation. So as a little exercise for yourself, start when you're in the next conversation that you're in, start answering perhaps or responding a little more slowly than you usually do, or a little more quickly, and get used to how it feels to yourself when you change the pace with which you respond to someone. It's a simple exercise, and you can respond, for example, say it's quickly. You can respond how quickly you answer a question, or do you give a long answer or a short answer? Are the words that you use spoken quickly one after the other like that? Or do you pace your words one after the other like that? Which may, with nods of the head or whatever, that will show a different type of thinking that's going on in your head to the other person. Now, that may actually not be the thinking that's really going on in your head, because what you're starting to do is manage the way you're perceived by other people. And that's crucially important, because you actually probably want people to perceive you in a certain way. In fact, it's important that you do. And also, people may have you written down as a particular type of person. Maybe they don't respect you very much. Maybe they don't care so much about what you think. And your relationship to them and their perception of you is really important. Now, coming into that, I want to introduce you to another major topic, which is called transactional analysis. Now, transactional analysis underpins the style that you use in conversation. So I'm going to pause for a moment. I'm going to suggest to you, you might want to look up transactional analysis on YouTube before we go into this next piece. It's not essential, but I think what you will find is there's a great deal of information on it. The first thing you're going to find is, well, may not be the first, but you'll see that it was a technique developed by a psychoanalyst or psychiatrist or whatever, a chap called Eric Berne. And he wrote a book called The Games People Play. And that was written for fellow psychiatrists, but it was actually became a bestseller. And lots of people really loved it because there were a few simple concepts in it which ordinary people can grasp who are non-science specialists. Now, I'm going to cover some of that with you because I think it's valuable. But before I go into transactional analysis, I'm going to bring in one other concept, and that is the whole idea of friendliness. Now, in conversation, if you can make the conversation a friendly conversation, it's going to change the whole dynamic. So much of our time in life, we go through and we don't show the other person whether we want to be friendly or not. It's almost, conversation should be a warm, interpersonal interaction. It's very easy for you to make another person feel good just by having the right style in the way you respond to them. I mean, the easiest example is if someone's serving you in a supermarket and you're at the checkout counter. If you're polite to them, if you smile at them, if you read their badge and possibly even use their name, that kind of thing, they will be looking for someone who's actually not just treating them as a thing, as like an extension to the till or the packaging that they're sweeping through. They sit there for hours and hours every day, picking up people's shopping, whacking it through the machine, and then telling them how much it's going to cost. And that's not really the most inspiring job in the world. But if you can brighten it up with a bit of pleasant interaction, it enriches their day, and I would suggest it enriches your day. So going out and speaking to people, it doesn't have to be behind a checkout counter, just speaking to people generally, when the opportunity arises, and being pleasant to them is really important to build up as a skill. And in fact, it's a need. People have a need for social interaction. They have a need to be recognized. So that lady or man behind the cash till, they like to be recognized. They've got that badge on there for a purpose. It's to help you be able to interact with them. You have to be careful sometimes that they borrowed someone else's badge, but that's not a big deal. So what I'd like to do is just on this short video is have you start thinking about the style that you use. Is it friendly? Is it brusque? Is it masterful? Whatever it is, and the pace with which you do it. So short, sharp, quick interactions are good in some circumstances, but not appropriate in others. And those interactions are called transactions. Remember, I introduced to you the concept of transactional analysis as Eric Berne developed it. And when you say something to someone within TA or transactional analysis, that's called a stroke. So if you say good morning, that's a stroke. And if they reply back to you, you can do a double stroke. Good morning, how are you? So that's 2 strokes. And then they can come back to you with, I'm fine, thanks. Or they may not reply, in which case you're missing a stroke back. And social expectation, which controls so much interaction, has an expectation of how many strokes you give, how many strokes they give, and how that interchange takes part. So you can see how we're slowly moving into conversation, and why earlier on I said I didn't think we were quite ready for it. I think we're getting there. There's a few more things to do. I invite you to look up transactional analysis, and I might do a short video on it myself. But it's not essential to know the detail. It's just essential that you're conscious of the style and pace in which you interact with other people. Thanks.